RPN Radio Philippines Network.
CNN Philippines Hour sa RPN-DZKI-IRIGA alas 6 hasta alas 7 ng manggi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes. CNN Philippines Hour.
Was seen during a child vaccination event in Talisay, Cebu. COMEX spokesperson James Jimenez says partisan politics has no place in official functions. The Health Department also clarifying the individuals who attended a campaign rally in DOH uniforms are not employees of the agency. A viral photo showed more than a dozen people wore DOH uniforms to the unit team's grand campaign rally in the town of Bantay in Ilocos Sur. The DOH says these people are health workers directly employed by the local government. And the building where COMEX headquarters are located in Intramuros in Manila will soon get a facelift. That's after netizens questioned the nightly displays of red and green lights, which they said is similar to the colors of the Marcos-Duterte tandem. Every after sundown since last year, the Palacio del Gobernador displays what the poll body says are Christmas colors.
It was brought to our attention by a netizen, and we felt that that's something that we can do right away. Nakikipag-coordinate po kami sa Intramuros Administration, and I think they have consented to changing the lights.
The COMELEC rents a number of floors at the Palacio del Gobernador. Other agencies under the Office of the President are also housed at the Intramuros building. Now, the country's first ever Muslim presidential candidate, Faisal Mangundato, gets the support of leaders from the Muslim community in Quiapo, Manila. Stanley Gahet has that story and updates on other candidates.
He may be at the bottom half of pre-election surveys, but presidential candidate Faisal Mangundato believes he has a fighting chance with the support of Muslim voters. Mangundato of the Katipunan Party takes pride in his bid as the first Muslim presidential candidate in Philippine history.
Yung acceptance ng ating mga kababayan, yung doon sa tumatawag sa atin, sa partido, marami nang nagsasabi na ang suporta nila ay sa atin dahil maganda ang ating plataforma, maganda ang hangarin natin.
Kung babasihan ho natin yung sinasabing survey, para sa amin hindi po importante yon.
The Muslim community leadership in Quiapo, Manila has expressed support to Mangundato.
Ang pagtakbo niya ay isang malaking bagay sa mga kamusliman. Kaya ako ay nananawagan na suportahan po natin sila.
Mangundato vows to prioritize access to health care, food security and agricultural productivity to fight poverty and create jobs. He says he is grateful for the opportunity to join the presidential debate to be hosted by CNN Philippines on February 27th.
Dapat lang na makaharap natin ang ating sambayan ng Pilipino. Tayo iba sa kanila. Inaano natin, pinupush natin ang bagong transition.
The Katipunan Party is pushing for a federal system, a move that would require constitutional change.
Agad-agad hihilingin namin sa Kongreso na balangkasin nila ang isang batas na nagpapatawag na isang constitutional convention.
Ang goal namin ay yung transition platform at action program na kami ay paano tayo makatawid sa sistemang federalismo.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Jose Montemayor attends a forum on preventive medical emergencies in Cavite. Another presidential candidate, Norberto Gonzales, postpones his proclamation rally on February 19th in line with IATF guidelines and local government protocols. He will instead launch a mobilization campaign on March 5th. Ernesto Abella had an interview on government channel PTV4 on Thursday. He said he is confident of a victory in the elections. Stanley Gahete, CNN Philippines.
Two former cabinet secretaries and a health advocate will make their priorities and principles known in the next CNN Philippines Senatorial Forum. Watch former Agrarian Reform Secretary John Castriciones, former Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol, and Dr. Mingita Padilla as they take on questions and issues that matter to Filipinos. That's happening this Sunday, February 20, 7 p.m. with our senior anchor, Rico Hizon. Also join our presidential and vice presidential hopefuls in a debate. Catch the VP debate on February 26th, Saturday, and the presidential debate on the 27th, live at the University of Santo Tomas in Manila, only here on CNN Philippines. The highest office of the land.
Unedited, unfiltered.
Keep watch over Filipinos there and how effective are vaccines against the after effects of the coronavirus, also known as long COVID. Details next on CNN Philippines. Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. We head now to the Cordilleras. Among the problems there is the supposed massive smuggling of fruits and vegetables, which kills the livelihood of local farmers. Our George Quiles joins us from Baguio City. George, tell us how some presidential and vice presidential candidates plan to address the problem.
Well, all candidates agree that the government should put a stop to this fruits and vegetable smuggling. Some of them even took a swipe at the Duterte administration's policy to import instead of helping farmers to be more productive. Vegetable farmers and dealers from Benguet blame smuggling as the main reason for the slow death of their industry, as smuggling led to the entry of imported vegetables without tax pay. The locally cultivated produce finds it difficult to deal with price competition. Vice presidential candidate Senator Kiko Pangilinan says this is among the issues that he and running mate Vice President Leni Robredo want to address as he visits La Trinidad and Atok, Benguet.
Ito ba dahil may mga matataas na opisyal na pumoprotekta o pinoproteksyonan itong mga smuggler na ito? Dahil parang farmally style na sindikato nangyayari rito, yung dapat inuuna yung lokal na manufacturer, dapat inuuna yung mga produkto sa atin, pero inuuna yung mga dayuhan at yung mga kasabot nila sa gobyerno.
Presidential candidate Manila Mayor Isko Moreno in his visit to La Union early this week also promised to provide full support and protection to Filipino farmers to uplift their lives and ensure there's food on the table for every Filipino family.
In our case, may awa ang Diyos, someday, basta yung mga smuggler, yang mga importer na illegal. Sasawatayin ko yun. As a matter of protection to our farmers. Will we import? We may. Pero importation should be buffer, not the main reason for us to feed our people.
Another presidential candidate, Labor leader Leody de Guzman, points his finger to the country's compliance to requirements set by the World Trade Organization.
Ito na nangyayari. Nung tayo sumama sa WTO, kung dati tayo nag-i-export ng mga agricultural product, ngayon nag-i-import na tayo. Dahil binukas na natin ang ating ekonomiya. Maging tayo agricultural, pero nag-i-import na tayo ng mani, ng luya, ng bawang, ng sibuyas. Na kayang-kaya nating i-produce dito sa ating bansa. Nag-i-import na rin tayo ng galunggong dahil doon sa mga patakaran ng WTO.
Partido Reforma Standard Bearer Senator Ping Lacson, meanwhile, frowns at the import-dependent policy of the government.
Instead na mag-intervene yung gobyerno para tulungan yung mga farmers, lalo pinapatay by importing vegetables, fruits that can be produced in our country.
Senator Manny Pacquiao says that if he wins, he will allot funds not just for farmers, but also for fisher folks.
Laan tayo ng pundo para dito sa mga fisher folks natin nang matulungan sila nang hindi tayo mag-import ng isda o galunggong. No? Instead, mag-export pa tayo.
Opia, Baguio City Mayor Benji Magalong has openly endorsed Lacson-Soto tandem. Mayor Magalong says he cannot assure the two that he will be able to deliver majority of votes from the summer capital, but he promised that he will help Lacson and Soto, who he believes will be the best leader for the country in the next 6 years. Aside from being alumni of the Philippine Military Academy, the friendship between Lacson and Magalong goes a long way. Lacson was the boss of Magalong during their stint at the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Task Force, or PAOK-TF, during the time of former President Joseph Estrada, and they have nothing but good words to each other. Back to you.
George Creel is there reporting live from Baguio City. The Philippine Consulate General in Hong Kong is monitoring Filipino nationals as the city grapples with another surge in COVID-19 cases. Around 20 to 30 Filipinos there are currently infected. Consul General Rally Tejada tells CNN Philippines Hong Kong's healthcare capacity is stretched to the limit. Quarantine facilities are at full capacity, while hospital beds are over 90% occupied. Tejada says some Filipinos were also fired from their jobs despite the surge.
Ang nakakabigla kasi mula almost every month, for the past few months, suddenly with the Omicron, it grew to about umpisa 100, naging 300, and exponentially naging 6,000 a day. So nabigla yung Hong Kong government. Ang problem po for some of these kababayan natin, ang problema natin, yung iba sa kanila kasi they were on their way home. So tapos na po yung kontrata nila. Sad to say, itinaboy, ng mga employers. Na nagulat din kami. Meron din mga employers na chose to let go of their employees, which is sad, but it happened. It's happening, and we're addressing it. Natutunto naman po namin and we are able to provide them a safe place to go. Problem na sa una kasi, this is not a matter of just a shelter issue kasi. This is a medical issue. You cannot just put them in a flat or in a hotel just like that.
Tejada says the consulate is also coordinating with the Filipino community in Hong Kong to address their needs. Over 3.6 million people in the country were infected with COVID-19. Chances are some are still experiencing its after effects. A recent review in the United Kingdom shows vaccines not only protect you from death and hospitalization, but also can reduce the chances of getting long COVID. Carolyn Bonkin tells us more.
Marie Zui wasn't able to stop and smell the roses quite literally in the past year. Her complete sense of smell hasn't come back since her COVID-19 infection in March last year. Back then, she was still unvaccinated.
Mahirap for me kasi hindi ko alam kung panis na ba yung kinakain ko or what. Naaamoy ko lang kasi is yung usok. Kapag kami nagluluto, ganyan, or nagsisiga, naaamoy ko. Pero pinaka-weird yung wala namang nagluluto na may naaamoy ako.
Alan Barnuevo got infected over a month after his second vaccine dose. Alan's ability to smell things and taste food took 2 months to completely return.
Parang biglang uubo ka na lang tapos or biglang kakati na lang yung lalamunan mo. Compared ng pre-COVID, hindi siya nung nagka-post-COVID na ako, hindi siya ganun kagad kalakas yung panglasa ko tsaka pang-amoy.
Alan and Maurice are going through the so-called long COVID, the lingering after effects of the viral infection weeks or months after recovery. Among the most common symptoms are chronic fatigue, headache, weakness in arms and legs, muscle pain, hair loss, dizziness, shortness of breath, and loss of sense of smell. Doctors say that some recovered patients complain of brain fog and depression. For now, how long it will last is anybody's guess. A comprehensive review by the UK Health Security Agency suggests that COVID-19 vaccines could help keep you away from long COVID. Those who had at least one vaccine dose before catching the virus are less likely to get long COVID than the unvaccinated. The duration of long COVID symptoms may be shortened if a person got vaccinated after the infection.
If you're vaccinated, your viral load may be high, but it's also early to drop. It will not have the time for you to develop more inflammation and therefore less of the long COVID complication compared to unvaccinated.
In children, the Pfizer vaccine could prevent multisystem inflammatory syndrome, a rare but dangerous COVID-19 complication. This condition causes simultaneous inflammation of organs.
Most of the MIS-C patients, the children, are unvaccinated. And those who were vaccinated, kung meron man na konti lang, they do not get the severe form.
Infectious diseases specialists advise those who have long COVID to immediately consult a doctor. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
Global debt watcher Fitch Ratings keeps a negative credit rating outlook for the Philippines while affirming the country's investment grade rating. The country's BBB credit rating is a level above the minimum investment grade, but BBB, but Fitch Ratings says the outlook is negative because of uncertainty about medium-term growth prospects, as well as the government's pandemic response and concerns on debt. Malacanang welcomes the rating as well as another report by S&P, which said the country's GDP could grow by up to 7.4% this year.
We have maintained the same rating from Fitch throughout the pandemic, despite a wave of rating downgrades for many other countries during the same period. And we expect economic reform momentum to continue as we thank Congress for the recent passage of the amendments to the Foreign Investment Act, the Retail Trade Liberalization Act, and the Public Service Act.
The Philippines is seeking an early conclusion of the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. Speaking before ASEAN Foreign Ministers, Foreign Affairs Chief Teddy Boy Locsin called for an effective and substantive Code of Conduct, or COC, that, quote, excludes no country or power. The COC determines the actions that countries can take in disputed areas of the South China Sea. The ASEAN earlier adopted a 3-year timeline proposed by China, targeting 2022 for the COC's completion. Well, still to come on Newsnight, James Reid has hopped on a flight to America. Is the actor saying goodbye to the Philippines for good? And 2 years later, Stranger Things is making its much-awaited return. Details on Season 4's release after the break. Welcome back to CNN Philippines. Two presidential and vice presidential tandems court voters in the Ilocos region. The Marcos-Duterte duo visits the Ilocos provinces, while the Moreno-Ong, how are they getting support from local politicians and residents there? Rex and Media tells us more.
It goes without saying that the strong support for Bongbong Marcos in Ilocos Norte is imposing. Authorities estimate over 30,000 people attended his grand campaign rally in Paway Town. Everywhere they go, huge crowds of supporters in red outfits Duterte instead.
Pagka talagang maitrabaho natin ng mabuti, ay magmamayabang pa kasi mas malaki boto niya rito sa Katagay.
Going to Ilocos Sur, political kingpin Chavit Singson also campaigned for the vice presidential candidate. Marcos won 93% of votes in Ilocos Sur in the 2016 elections. Singson vows that the Davao City Mayor will also win by 90% of votes in Ilocanja. Interestingly, in the entire Ilocos region, Sara's father, President Duterte, only won in Ilocos Norte back in 2016.
Kailangan ng pagmamahal na binibigay natin kay BBM, ganun din ang pagmamahal na binibigay natin kay Inday Sara dahil nakakaya kung mapag-iwanan siya rito. Kailangan halos pantay ang boto nila.
Another presidential candidate, Isko Moreno, meanwhile, isn't giving up on the region despite the odds. He makes some rounds in La Union and Pangasinan, provinces that also voted for Marcos in 2016. Pangasinan is among the most vote-rich provinces in the country, with more than 2 million voters. Moreno also paid a courtesy call to La Union Governor Pacoy Ortega on Thursday. Moreno says he will do his best to get some support no matter how challenging as it is.
Halimbawa, paborito nila si Kandidato A at 5 sila sa pamilya, o makadalawa lang ako, okay na. Matigas man ang bulalo, dahil sa pagpupursige mo, lalambot din to.
Others in the region also refuse to believe there's a solid north for Bongbong this time.
Marami ng boto si BBM kaya iskorin muna tayo, sir.
Opo naman.
Bakit po?
Mabait naman siya eh.
In the highlands of North Luzon, meanwhile, Partido Reforma standard-bearer Ping Lacson and Vice Presidential bet Kiko Pangilinan courted voters in Baguio City today. With a combined 6.9 million voters, winning the support of Northern Luzon is important for anyone running for a national post. Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines, Ilocos Norte.
Again, join our presidential and vice presidential hopefuls in a debate. Catch the VP debate on February 26th, Saturday, and the presidential debate on the 27th, live at the University of Santo Tomas in Manila, only here on CNN Philippines. In local music, actor-singer James Reid has flown to the U.S. and fans are wondering, is he moving for good? Photographs of a despedida party for him this week surfaced online. Plus, the artist's sister posted a video bidding him farewell at the airport. While James is a founder of Philippine record label Careless Music, he's also managed by Transparent Feed, a U.S.-based agency. And a Billboard chart milestone from fellow OPM artist Zach Tabudlo. His tracks Paano and Habang Buhay topped the hits of the World Philippines list. But that's not all. Binibini and Nangangamba also landed on the 13th and 18th spots. This makes Zach the first Filipino act with 4 songs charting simultaneously. It is the beginning of the end for sci-fi Netflix hit Stranger Things. The creators revealed seasons 4 and 5 will cap off the show while dropping these new posters. And fans can now mark the date for the 4th season. Volume 1 streams on May 27th, Volume 2 on July 1st. And before we go, let's take a trip down memory lane and turn back time to 1993. Check out these heartwarming recreations of childhood photographs 27 years in the making. Uploader Patrick O'Cock, who is from Malta, tells us these are pictures of his son Josh hanging out with some of the Ati kids in Boracay. In 2020, Josh caught up with his former playmates. Josh and his family run a philanthropic organization in Boracay called Mission of Love Malta. The group helps raise funds for the education and healthcare of the Ati community. Patrick's post has been liked more than 21,000 times on Boracay Retrospective's Facebook page. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Hontiveros. We now leave you with an exclusive first look at some much anticipated devices.
Samsung continues to push the
At a very young age, we're told by our parents or elders that we must sit up straight and stand up tall, again and again and again. Come to think of it, you do look better instantly. But more than that, you'll actually feel better. And there are many reasons why. Improving your posture has many payoffs. Today on the program, we'll look into the many benefits of a healthy posture, what it means for your spine, your lungs, your digestive system, and blood circulation, your energy level, and overall self-confidence. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Welcome to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. A healthy posture helps us with our everyday movements and regular activities, putting the least amount of strain on our body. And that's why it is so important. I'd like to welcome our guests for today. First, we have Dr. Larry Acuña. He's an orthopedic surgeon and the head of the spine section at the Medical City and Asian Hospital and Medical Center. Our next guest is Dr. Jericho de la Cruz. He's a rehabilitation medicine specialist and the National Secretary of the Philippine Academy of Rehabilitation Medicine, also from the Asian Hospital and Medical Center. It's easy for us, so many of us, to forget about good posture. We see a lot of people who slouch or even slump, and yet we wonder why we wake up with so much aches and pains. Let's define first what good posture is, which is otherwise known as having a neutral spine. Ano ibig sabihin nun, Doc Larry?
Posture means it's a position of the body, no? With regards to sitting or standing. And a good posture is equivalent to a good spine, a balanced spine. We look at the spine. We have, we call it cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. So they have certain acceptable degrees and in good alignment if you have a good posture.
Dr. Larry, explain natin sa ating mga viewers kung ano ang bad posture.
May certain posture that is really bad and it affects sometimes primarily your muscles and then eventually your joints and the discs and affecting your nerves. That would end up with a difficulty in mobility.
Bad posture definitely will affect a lot of other organs in your body, because good posture has an effect on your blood circulation as well as your digestion for that matter. Dr. Jack, help us understand this because a lot of studies have come out wherein good posture is not only good for your back but other vital organ systems in the body as well.
When you practice good posture, so you straighten up your body, your spine are aligned. Remember, the spine, it's your backbone, no? Ibig sabihin, doon nakadikit lahat ng muscles na nagpapatayo sa atin, nagpapaupo sa atin, nagpapagalaw sa atin. No, so if you practice good posture, proper posture, everything is in place. So when everything is in place, it works in optimum condition. So our muscles are in place, hindi sila masyadong nahihila, hindi sila masyadong nagsistretch.
Nakakaapekto nga ba talaga ang bad posture sa blood pressure ng isang tao?
If you practice bad posture, the tendency is your heart works a little bit harder. No, so mas malaki yung trabaho sa puso natin. So when our heart starts pumping a little bit harder, mas nagtatrabaho siya, our blood pressure goes up. So if we practice good posture, our accessory muscles, our muscles of the limbs, no, the upper and the lower extremity helps with our blood pressure. So our heart doesn't work that hard, so mas maganda yung blood pressure natin lumalabas.
Dr. Jack, how does sitting up straight help with both our lungs, our breathing, as well as our functional digestive system?
Ang sinasabi sa atin nung bata tayo, stomach in, chest out, no? Chin up. So technically, you're expanding your chest wall. No? Lumalaking chest wall natin, it gives space for the lung to expand. So when you give more space for the lungs, mas marami tayong oxygen na nakukuha kasi lumalaki yung area, no, na pwede nating punuin. So in effect, mas maganda yung ating breathing. No, in terms of our digestion, mas maganda rin yung position natin as compared that if we are slouching. If we're slouching, we're compressing our internal organs. Remember, everything needs room. Pag pinasok mo yung pagkain, so kailangan mag-expand din yung tiyan natin. No? So kung maganda yung ating position, maganda ang ating posture, we have room for expansion.
Doc Larry, let's explain naman what sway back is and anong epekto nito sa ating katawan.
Yung sway back kasi di-distort yung spinal alignment. So, yung magkakaroon ka ng tawag doon exaggerated thoracic kyphosis, and then yung neck mo medyo naka-hyperextend. With poor balance, poor posture, you will end up having muscle pains and fatigue earlier. Usually, pagka may sway back ka, mas nag-exert kasi effort yung sa lower back mo and then the neck muscles as well.
Please explain to our viewers kung ano naman yung forward head.
Yung forward head naman, yung neck mo hyper flex, no? Parang naka-forward, from the name itself, naka-forward yung head over in relationship to your neck. So strained yung mga neck muscles mo with that kind of posture.
Dr. Jack, is it possible na meron tayong mga viewers dito who don't even notice na meron silang sway back, meron silang forward head? Ano yung kaya mga common effects na pwede nilang maramdaman that might make them think that they have these conditions?
Yung ating curvature ng spine mas lumalaki, no? Ang tendency kasi ng sway back, yun yung mga taong parang parating nakasandal pa naglalakad, no? You feel like you're falling backwards. So that's usually yun yung signs ng sway back. Yung sa forward head naman, mas madami yan ngayon, no? Especially in the advent of our technologies, parati tayong nakayuko. No, so the tendency, our neck is in an angulation. It will cause you neck pains because a minimal angulation of the neck will cost you about 20 to 60 pounds additional work for the neck.
Okay, now there are other types of common posture problems that can be avoided as well as corrected, and we'll discuss those, including exercises that can help improve posture after a short break. We're your partner in healthcare. You're watching CNN Philippines. Good posture involves teaching your body to sit, stand, walk, and even lie down in positions without straining your supporting muscles and your ligaments. It means your blood is flowing more easily and your organs are functioning without any obstructions. Welcome to MedTalk Health Talk. We're here to create a healthy tomorrow. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Dr. Jack, please describe this for us, itong flat back and its effects sa ating katawan.
Flat back naman, technically parang kabaliktaran ng sway back. No? Yung sway back kasi nag-increase yung curvature of the lower spine. Yung sa flat back naman, dumidiretso siya. So the tendency is hindi mo mabaluktot, no? Hindi mo siya madiretso yung spine mo kasi diretsong-diretso siya. So hindi ka makatayo ng diretso pataas. So what happens is you tilt your pelvis forward, you flex your hips and you flex your knee to be able to stand up straight.
Now, let's go to another posture syndrome known as kyphosis, which is common in older women. Dr. Jack, can you please describe what kyphosis is?
Kyphosis in our vernacular in Tagalog, yung kuba, no, nakukuba siya. Usually it happens when you have problems with the vertebral bodies. Lumiliit siya, nagkakaroon tayo ng wedges, no? So lumiliit siya, so nagkakaroon ng deformity with our spine, so nakukuba tayo. So that's the main problem with your kyphosis.
Speaking of kyphosis, bakit ito mas madalas nakikita sa mga babae at advancing age? What is the main culprit for this?
As you advance your age, yung buto nagiging brittle. So may tendency magkaroon ng osteoporosis. Yung osteoporosis kasi is a silent disease that causes fragility, fracture of the spine. So yun yung effect ng osteoporosis.
Okay, so kyphosis can also be caused by fractures, osteoporosis, as Dr. Larry mentioned, disc degeneration, as well as some forms of cancer and some cancer treatments, among others. Dr. Larry, since we're talking about osteoporosis, at what age kaya should they seek consult with their orthopedic surgeon or their spine surgeon to check out na everything is okay?
The most common cause ng osteoporosis is postmenopausal. So after menopause, nagbabago yung estrogen level. So nagkakaroon siya ng osteoporosis. Yung iba naman, maaga magkaroon ng osteoporosis dahil meron silang ibang comorbidity, like kung merong mga thyroid problems, mga endocrine abnormalities, and dun sa mga early stage. But basically, it's after menopause for women.
Now, from a spine specialist's perspective, what type of mattress should our viewers have in terms of having a good night's sleep?
Yeah, I always advise my patients to have a firm bed mattress that would prevent from the back from sagging. Kasi nagbabago yung spinal curvature with a very soft mattress. And with regards to the use of pillow, I always advise my patients to make sure that the head is always at the same level with the shoulder to prevent neck pains later on.
Now, we're your partner in healthcare here on MedTalk Health Talk. When we return, we'll share some exercises that can help with good posture. So stay with us. Good posture affects more than just your appearance. It helps you to develop strength, flexibility, as well as balance. Now, good posture can help your blood flow normally and your organs to function properly. We're in this together. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Please explain to our viewers kung bakit mahalaga ang pag-exercise or pag-stretch ng muscles, especially when it comes to good posture.
Yung muscles is a supporting structure of the bone. So if you have weak muscle, lahat ng mga mechanical forces will be transmitted to your bone, to your discs, and you'll end up having early degenerative process.
Doc Jack, what are the benefits of this type of pose, this resting pose?
So your resting pose, you lie down on the floor, you're flat, your palms up. No, technically, you're just resting. And then you concentrate on your breathing. So it makes you centered. You are in tune with your body. You will feel where it aches, saan siya masakit, and then it makes you relax.
Now there's another pose called, or a stretch for that matter, called the cat-cow stretch. That's another one that can help correct or lessen bad postures. Doc Jack, what does this type of stretch actually do?
Yung cat-cow stretch, you can do it three ways. You can do standing, you can do it sitting, or you can do it on all fours. No, technically, you extend and flex the spine slowly. Concentrate on the breathing. So technically, it stretches. No, it stretches your upper and the lower back. Stretches your arms as well and your legs.
Pero ano ba talaga ang mga core muscles, Doc Jack? And how does this help with someone's posture?
So our core muscles, our abdominals, our back, no, sila yung nagpapatayo sa atin. No? It helps the body carry our own weight, no, and improves our balance. So one type of strengthening that is to do the plank. So if you do the plank, you strengthen the core, you strengthen the abdominals, you strengthen the back. But again, you strengthen the shoulder girdle muscles and the pelvic girdle muscles as well as the lower extremities. It improves our postures as well because you strengthen all of the muscles at once you strengthen the core.
Now, when we talk about starting out for the first time, for someone who has not stretched in their life, has not done any exercise, but they notice that their posture needs some help, what is your advice, Doc Jack?
So with stretching, you have to do it slowly. You have to do it calculated because if you do it haphazardly, the tendency is for you to injure yourself. So if you do it one movement at a time, slowly, and then you center yourself and you see what's aching and then what's bothering you, so you will do it safely.
Is there an exercise or a position they could do at home to make them feel what it feels like to have good posture?
For good posture, the tendency is you have to straighten your back. No? So, pinagagawa sa atin yung stomach in, chest out, chin up, di ba? So what you do is you pull your shoulders back and down. No? So you will feel a little bit of strain on the lower back, but you can see you're standing tall and you're breathing well.
Now, Dr. Larry, there's also a condition which a lot of our viewers may be familiar with, and that is a herniated disc or a slip disc. Now, this can cause extreme pain, especially in the lower back. It can really be debilitating. For that matter, how is this best treated?
The first thing is to prevent it from having it. So proper posture would somehow prevent having a herniated disc. And if you have the herniated disc, you feel back pain and leg pains. That means the nerve is already impinged. And 90% of the time, it's treated non-surgically. We refer patients to rehabilitation medicine. They do modalities to decrease the inflammation and eventually decreases the pain and strengthen the muscles.
Doc Jack, a lot of our viewers also are familiar with correcting apparently what's called subluxations of the bones. In short, pinapatunog, kinakrak yung kanilang bones in order to have a corrected spine by... what is your opinion in this type of practice?
As a rule of thumb, hindi siya maganda, no? Because yun nga, nabanggit nga ni Dr. Larry, sometimes if you have problems, especially with the spine, if you have brittle spine, you might just cracking it might cause fractures. So as a rule of thumb, mas maganda hindi natin siya gagawin.
Do you have any advice, Doc Jack, for our viewers before we go?
So the best part is to practice proper posture, and then you try to exercise your core muscles, try to exercise a lot, especially at this time of the pandemic, so that our body will be in tip-top condition once we start going outside.
And Dr. Larry, any advice for our viewers when it comes to good posture?
Yeah, aside from having good posture, you have to shift position from time to time. Like when you're sitting most of the time, you should take a break at least every hour and do your stretching to avoid back pains.
Our take home for this is check with your doctor, your orthopedic surgeon, your rehab medicine specialist, your physical therapist, or even a trainer to help you identify and hopefully correct your posture. With that, I'd like to thank our guests for today, spine surgeon Dr. Larry Acuña and rehabilitation medicine specialist Dr. Jericho De La Cruz. Maraming salamat sa inyo. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
Radio, DZKI-IRIGA welcomes CNN Philippines to bring you the latest news you can use, news you can trust. Listen to Newsnight, weekdays, 6 p.m.
We now go above and beyond the headlines.
Followed by Med Talk, Health Talk.
We'll talk about how to keep ourselves healthy during the pandemic.
Politics as usual.
In this country, not everything really goes according to plan, and politics is as usual.
Up close and more. Catch CNN Philippines Hour on DZKI-IRIGA. Weekdays, 6 to 7 p.m.
Sa pagpili ng liderato, laging tatandaan, dapat nasa kanya lahat ng katangian na maka-Pilipinas. Taong may respeto sa buhay at pamilya, makabuluhan at matinoong pamumuhay. Siya yung makapagtataguyod ng kabutihang panlahat, di mangiiwan, makakasama ang lahat. Malinaw ang pananaw sa makabagong bukas, makatwiran at patas pakisama, at higit sa lahat, maka-Diyos siya dapat. Sa pagpili ng liderato, laging tatandaan, dapat nasa kanya lahat ng katangian, maka-Pilipinas, maka-Pilipinas.
Gabayan ng Pilipinong bumoto ng responsable. Yan naman ang aming
Panatang Maka-Pilipinas.
Iboboto ko, Maka-Pilipinas.
Makabayan sa lupang sinilangan.
Makataot may respeto sa buhay at pamilya.
Siya ay makatuwiran at patas makisama.
Masigasig tumulong makaahon ang bawat isa.
Makatarungan, makalingat, maalalahanin sa kapwa.
Makakasama ang lahat, siya'y di mangiiwan. Siya ay makapagtataguyod ng kabutihang panlahat.
Siya ay makabatas.
Siya ay makatotoo.
Siya ay may malinaw na pananaw para sa makabagong bukas.
Higit sa lahat, siya ay maka-Diyos. Kaya't ayaw niya ng karahasan. Siya ay makakapayapaan.
Iboboto ko ang isang tao na makakalayaan.
Isang leader na makakalikasan.
Isang Pilipinong makabuluhan at matino ang pamumuhay.
Sa isip, sa salita, at sa gawa.
Gabayan ang Pilipinong bumoto ng responsable. Yan naman ang aming panata sa PPCRV.
CNN Philippines Hour sa RPN-DZKI-IRIGA alas 6 hasta las 7 ng manggi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes. CNN Philippines Hour.